Welcome to the Rom1das O'Brien tier list. The Premier NBA tier list, not the NFL tiers you see from a Nick Wright or something like that. This is clearly inspired by First Things First. Let me just put it that way. And today is the 28th of December, which is my mother's birthday, so happy birthday today again. Love you, mom. And let's talk about why I have teams in whatever tiers. And this is obviously based off my absolutely objective truths, and everything you see is completely right, and there is no disputing anything I say here. Now, let me know your thoughts about my tiers, of course. Anyway, let's start. These teams all would be better off with Winston Bishop starting, in my opinion. Imagine Winston Bishop just running point guard for the goddamn Spurs. He would feed Wemby like nothing. Hell yeah, my boy Winnie the Bish. Alright, all these teams are in a rough spot. Of course, the Hornets are in the spot because, well, LaMelo is hurt. Otherwise, they don't deserve to be in this tier list, most likely. But they are. The Wizards are horrible, the Spurs are horrible, the Pistons are horrible, and the Pistons are the most horrible of all horribles. Horribles. Of all horribles. Hell yeah. Winston, save them, please. Next up. Those are all the fans of those teams. Anyway. Actual next up, Patience and Prosper. Both these teams I feel like are in a great spot. All they have to do is be patient and prosper, as I said. Well, Scoot has been finally showing flashes. You have Anthony Simons, who's 24, and he's averaging insane amount of numbers and looking like a lead guard on a good team, in my opinion. And the Jazz have Lauri Markkanen, who is an incredible player and probably the most premier trade piece out there on the market. And hey, if I'm OKC, come and get me. Come and get me a Lauri Markkanen. So I think Danny Ainge is in a good spot. Colin Sexton has been prospering. You have, of course, Walker Kessler finally bouncing back after some injury issues. Taylor Hendricks is, of course, still an interesting prospect. Keontae George has been prospering when he was starting and, healthy. So the Jazz are, I think, in a really solid spot and actually on a win streak now. So maybe I'm kind of underestimating them for the next year, which is for all the play-ins. As you can see, these teams are so far fighting for the play-in, and it just feels right to me. Of course, this could be separated into two tiers of the bad teams and the teams that I feel like will be good, which essentially is the first 5 to 6 teams in here. The Lakers have not been able to be healthy. After the in-season tournament, they've been sloppy. They have inconsistent offense. The Warriors have inconsistent kind of everything with them, but they are still 500. Indiana, of course, has a horrible defense, incredible offense, and have been kind of off since the in-season tournament. We're waiting to see, of course, what happens with them in the trade market. The Chicago Bulls have been great since Zach LaVine got hurt, essentially. I'm sorry, Zach LaVine, but it's just the truth, and they've been playing really good on both sides of the floor with DeMar DeRozan embracing his role, Kobe White ascending, and Andre Drummond becoming Will Chamberlain against Clint Capella. Houston has a really good defense. I wonder if it's sustainable, though. And they have a problem in Jalen Green, who has just not simply been good enough and probably should not be starting for them. And the Phoenix Suns just lack depth in the wings position. They lack defenders there, and they, of course, are injury mess. The Nets have too many players that should be number 3, 4 on other teams and are, of course, playing in this hierarchy of Brooklyn. I mean, they're, I would say, the perfect good team or an all-right team in the NBA. Then the Hawks are just the definition of mid, as always. The Atlanta Hawks are just rough. And Trae Young had a bad start. Everyone else played well. Then Jalen Johnson got injured. And now nobody is playing well besides Trae Young, essentially. And Bogdan Bogdanovic, I can't lie. He's been sensational. He would have been a 6th Man of the Year candidate if the Hawks' record has been any better. And the Raptors are in such a weird spot. They feel like a horrible team, but they're still in the play-in race. They have an okay-ish record. Scottie Barnes has had a really good year so far. But it feels like they've just been stuck for 2 years, where they should have moved on from a Siakam, from a OG Anunoby 2 years ago, and let the team go into a different direction a little bit earlier. Anyway, I wonder is the next tier up. Where I just wonder with these teams. The Grizzlies are so up because they've been sensational with Ja Morant, and Ja is looking like, of course, one of the best players in the league, one of the most impactful players in the league, and you wonder how would they have done, of course, if he was healthy. And the early results are that they would have been once again a really good team. I wonder, of course, about the Clippers if they get Harden earlier, but I also wonder about the Clippers in terms of they are the Clippers. I just can't trust them. Now Kawhi Leonard has been hurt for 3 games. It should be a minor injury, and they are probably just protecting him, but still, Kawhi injured out for 3 games when it was not expected. It gives you the scare. You have kind of a... I don't want to minimize that, so I'm not going to use that. You just have trust issues with the Clippers, of course. Then, the Pelicans just kind of lack an offensive identity in the clutch. They are a good team, but in close games, it feels like there is no hierarchy for the offense, in my opinion. The Cleveland Cavaliers, I wonder, of course, about all the injuries that they've had going on. They've just not been able to be healthy, of course. Now Garland, Mobley out for another month at least. So, they are holding on. They're a good team. But you wonder what could have been. And with the Knicks, I of course wonder if Jalen Brunson can be a lead guard. The number 1 option, of course, on a championship team, which all the Knicks fans are offended about, because he simply cannot be, in my opinion. Unless you have a generational defense around him, then I could see it maybe. But that's not a takeaway from Jalen Brunson. There are like 5 dudes in this league that have been number 1s on a champ. I mean, that's probably 10 guys, maybe. I'm gonna do a video about that, so let's move on from that in the tiers. Hit and miss. Yeah, hit and miss. The Mavericks had a hit or miss offense, and of course, sometimes, they have a hit or miss defense and sometimes offense because, well, Grant Williams has gotten absolutely cold and has been horrible. They have had issues with injuries, but they are still really great, and they have one of the best players in the league, and simply one of the most impressive players, maybe ever, honestly. The Sacramento Kings hit and miss because, well, the offense is a hit, the defense is a miss, and the same goes for the Orlando Magic. All these 3 teams are really good, but I just don't see them as a championship contender. Go for it. Both these teams have some pieces, have some draft capital that they can trade for a better player. And I think both these teams have to go for it, right? OKC, come on, go get Lauri Markkanen. He's the perfect fit there at the number 4 spot. You would have Shea, you would have Lou Dort, Jalen Williams, Lauri Markkanen, and Chet Holmgren. That's a goddamn special starting 5, if healthy. And they have the pieces to go for it. And the Sixers also have the first round pick, so I don't know. I'm not keen on Zach LaVine for them, but I've heard the rumbles about, who was it? Tyus Jones from the Wizards, which I think could be a good pickup, but I think they can go for more. We'll see what happens with the Sixers, but of course Embiid, Maxey taking a huge leap. The coaching has gotten better to get everyone more involved within the offense, and the defense is stout. So the Sixers and the OKC Thunder should 100% go for it this year. And then we have the perfect spot. The Timberwolves have pretty much all the players under contract. Mike Conley could be an unrestricted free agent next year, but you'll get there where that is, and hope to retain him. He's still older, but he's a perfect piece for them from the 3-point line and a veteran leadership position. And they have all their young guys locked up, under contract for multiple years. They are atop the Western Conference. They have a great defense, upcoming young stars. So I think they are in a perfect spot to not, while I just don't trust them like the teams that, don't trust them. I'm not sure if not trust them, but I can't put them in this spot, which is the Robop teams, aka the Rom1das or Brian trophy or bust, essentially, teams. I think these teams just of course the Timberwolves would be disappointed to not win a championship if they are a number 1 seed and, win however many games and come close to it. But I feel like these teams have gotten so close many times, have been there so many times, that they just, all these teams just have to win out. These teams just have to win out or just be a bust. The Celtics certainly are. They have made so many moves. They have done so many things, have been in the conference championships, in the finals for the last 6 years. And, you know, you can keep making moves forever, but at some point you just gotta win. The Bucks have made the win move now for Damian Lillard, and as long as they're healthy, anything other than a championship will be a huge disappointment. Miami has all the pieces intact from last year, is more healthy, found a gem of a rookie. They've come close these last 4 years, so I feel like they're another bust, championship or bust team in a way. And the Nuggets won the championship last year, have all the pieces, have had a tough schedule, a really tough schedule for the teams that are atop the conference. And they also, of course, have still the MVP. Jamal Murray has improved, and you have rookies improving. So I feel like the Nuggets still have all the right pieces to, just be disappointed hugely if they do not repeat, even though I know it's hard and it's kind of harsh on them. But I did not want to make them another separate tier. You could argue they could be in the perfect spot tier, and they could be above these teams. But I feel like these teams are better than the Timberwolves right now, even though the Heat are kind of controversial. But they've steadied the ship when they were injured. When a lot of their stars were injured, they are still the number 4 seed, and you just can't go against the Heat magic, man. You just can't. Anyway, those were the NBA tiers for the 28th of December. I'll catch you all next Thursday with another tier edition. And as always, be kind to yourself and to others. Love yourselves as much as possible, and love and be, baby.